today I'm going to talk about Emily's Covered Bridge.
Awesome. Hey, can we just point out that
Yeah.
Michelle's Twitter handle is @cryptickablam?
Yeah, totally. I didn't say because I didn't know if she wanted us to say it or not.
Well, it's Twitter. I assume it's fine.
That's
If not,
true.
I'll cut it out.
Yeah.
Who knows? Okay.
Michelle, just let us know.
Yeah.
I figured she was saying it to like let us know who she was in case we didn't know. Of course I know
We
Michelle.
know. Yeah.
Of course.
Yeah.
Okay. So the story of Emily's Covered Bridge has a bunch of different origin stories. The basic gist is jilted girl named Emily dies there.
Okay.
But here are the variations with it. That she was supposed to meet her love there at the bridge, and then they would elope together, but he never showed up, so she hung herself from the rafters of the bridge.
Oh, wow.
The other story is that they were going to get married in a church, and that she was stood up at the altar wearing her beautiful red dress. Red clothes come up later in my next Vermont Stories episode.
Huh.
Red clothes are a bad sign in Vermont.
Really?
Yeah.
What's going on?
Like red balloons and whatever it is.
It?
Oh, that too. No, The Sixth Sense.
Red balloons?
Well, maybe just red in The Sixth Sense is a
Oh,
problem.
yeah.
There's a red balloon that floats. Does it pop up a lot?
At a party, and then he gets locked in like a little crawl space or something.
I haven't seen that in forever.
Yeah.
Is it red balloons in The Sixth Sense, or it's just the color red?
I think it's the color red.
Okay.
Yeah.
But anyway, red clothing in Vermont is a bad omen.
Okay.
And I'll fill that in another time. But so she was wearing a red wedding dress, which I really respect, went to the church. He never showed up. So then she took the family wagon, like horse and buggy kind of wagon, to go find him. And she was pissed. So she was like making them go really fast. And then she didn't take a turn properly right before the bridge. And they all fell off the bridge and died.
Ooh.
Or same scenario of a wedding and stuff, but it's a car and the car drives off the bridge, because this is all said to have happened around like 1920. The car thing is unlikely because only like really rich families had cars back then, like at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Boy, the hanging one.
I know. Well, also for the hanging one, you brought rope
Yeah, you brought rope and like a chair
for your
or
elopement?
a stool.
Yeah.
An elopement.
An elopement.
And then you
I'll
do
get
it
to
in this bridge, and then I guess people in horses and buggies come by, and your feet are hitting them in the face.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah, no good. And then the last variation of the story is that same jilted lover thing, but she jumped off the bridge.
Okay.
So there
It's just a pretty short bridge. I mean,
William,
we can see a picture of the bridge. There's a little crick under it.
I'm going to get to it.
Okay.
So here's the thing. There is no record of a woman named Emily killing herself on the bridge.
My God.
None.
My God.
And there's actually another bridge on this same road that, if this story is even true, if there's any truth to any of it, that it's way more likely so it's like, if the story is true at all, and if it's the jumped off the bridge version, it wouldn't even be this bridge that everybody goes to as Emily's bridge because it's too little. The other bridge, you could jump off and kill yourself.
Huh. Okay. Okay.
So even if that's true, people are flocking to the wrong bridge.
Yeah.
But for that story in particular, I mean, it doesn't really matter that much
Yeah.
anyway. So the thing is, it's kind of up for debate whether there was any Emily at all, or whether this is just a story that kind of like developed over time, like through maybe a telephone situation. Maybe there's like a kernel of truth to it. It's not really sure. So basically, there's some old timers who remember this story coming up in the 30s. Like if you like local historians have asked them, they're like, yeah, I remember the Emily story being a thing in the 30s, but only a couple of them. Some people are like, yeah, I don't know what that is.
Yeah.
And then most things that are online said that the story seemed to really take off locally when a teen in 1968 wrote a paper for high school saying that they had taken a Ouija board to that bridge, and that an entity named Emily showed up.
Awesome.
But then there's a local woman named Nancy who says that she straight up made the story up. So
Even better.
I think the truth is probably, somewhere in the middle there.
Yeah.
And so this is from an article that was about the Emily's Covered Bridge legend, and also about how, like, it's really annoying to the residents of Stowe who live right around there because people go there all the time.
Oh, that's
so great. Many attribute the story to Nancy Steed, a longtime resident of Stowe and a columnist for the Stowe Reporter, who has claimed that she started the rumor several decades ago. According to Steed, in the early 1970s, tales of witchcraft were becoming all the rage. One day, while sitting around a pond with Hazel Carlson, Steed and Carlson decided to come up with some witchcraft of their own to scare the kids swimming in the pond. The girls were buzzing about witchcraft and covens, and we said we should probably tell them about this bridge and this girl Emily who died there, Steed said. Each of us would add our own line to the story, and boom, it just took off and went crazy. But it was just made up.
That's awesome.
But the local historians seem to think that's not quite true. Like she might have told that story and everything, but it's a big coincidence that there was a story like that floating around before that happened. That happened in the 70s, she's saying. This kid wrote a story in school in 1968 saying that they contacted Emily on the bridge, and they're older people from who remember being in the 30s and them talking about Emily. So it's most likely that she kind of remembers hearing that story and maybe doesn't remember it or something. Yeah. And that might have like kicked off like the real like Emily fever, but she probably didn't actually like make that up from scratch.
Emily Fever is a great name for a band.
Yes.
Where the front woman is named Emily.
Or just like somebody's solo project. Like somebody who has a band and then they want to split off and do their own thing, and it's Emily Fever.
I got it. I figured it out.
Okay.
Middle school boy at a talent show playing an original song he wrote about his breakup with Emily.
That is better than all of them.
Emily Fever. Or they just started dating.
Yeah.
And so he's really
and he's coming on too strong.
Yeah.
And Emily's a little bit like in the audience of the talent show.
Yeah. This almost feels like, because it's all of this sort of like, it's almost convergent evolution where there's a myth and some like writing and stuff and somebody who claims that they created the story. Right. It's almost like this event is fated to occur or something. Or like we talked about the idea that like ideas exist outside people and sort of travel and snake in through your ear and get in your brain.
Yeah.
It's like there's this idea of this woman on the bridge that must exist. This story must exist somehow. So multiple people are inventing it.
Well, maybe, if the story is an idea, maybe it snaked into the ear of these women in the 30s, didn't really take for some reason. Yeah. Then it came back to this kid in 68, and then it didn't really totally like pop off then. So a few years later, it tried again, and finally there was a boom.
Yeah, exactly.
And it became like a thing. So then like those kids told other kids, and it became this whole big story.
Yeah. Maybe it's even an Emily who killed herself in the mid 1800s.
Yeah.
And she's like, somebody has to remember me.
Again, there's a thing with that.
Really?
Kind of. You'll see. Okay. So besides just the story and how it started, here is what the kids and everybody say happens when you go to the bridge. Because there's always like the story of what happened at the bridge and then the scary things that happened there or whatever. So people driving on the bridge hear a scraping on the roof of their car from her feet dangling from where she hung herself.
That's awesome.
There are scratch marks on cars that drive on the bridge, on the side of the car. People walking on the bridge and ghost hunting feeling touched or scratches. This one is freaky to me. This is so good. I feel like I haven't heard this before. And you'll see in a second. At first, it's going to sound basic. So hearing the sound of footsteps in there, or women's screams, or the sound of rope tightening.
Ooh.
Like, that is such a specific, weird sound.
Yeah.
That is freaky deaky.
That's really cool. Just that groan of a knot tightening.
Yeah. Like a weird, like,
that's cool.
Squeak, but not a horrible squeak.
Yeah.
Not a nails on a chalkboard squeak, but you can picture that sound.
Oh, yeah.
Seeing an apparition, as you do. And if you drive your car into the bridge and honk 3 times right at midnight, that's when an apparition should show up.
You want me?
Yeah.
Hello?
You rang. And most appearances of her are supposed to be between 12 a.m. and 3 a.m.
Okay.
So that's when people show up and do all that stuff. And also other people have brought Ouija boards there since that kid in high school did to kind of contact her. And an entity has shown up again saying that they're Emily, but plot twist that their fiance's mother killed them.
Oh.
I know.
Huh.
I don't know.
Maybe multiple people named Emily have died on this bridge, and there's a curse.
Well, there's no record of like deaths on the bridge,
Kristen,
like Emily or otherwise.
Kristen,
there are deaths near the bridge. So
you're glib. You're glib. It's happened.
I watched that like last week or something.
Of course you did.
Yeah, I know.
Tom Cruise talking to Matt Lauer.
So painful. He is such
like 15 years ago.
He is such a tool in that interview. Oh, he's awful.
Yeah.
He's on that tangent because Brooke Shields said that antidepressants really helped her through her postpartum.
Right.
And he's taking issue with that.
Right.
Blow right off.
Mission Impossible looks kind of cool.
Is there a new Mission Impossible?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, really?
Of course.
Does it look cool?
No, I couldn't understand the trailer.
Does he have a fake butt?
I'm not even kidding. Everyone Google Tom Cruise fake butt.
Now that's a conspiracy theory worth researching.
Give yourself a good night. It's going to be excellent.
It is so funny. And then revisit this after you've seen the picture and you'll understand. I know you and I have talked about this.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think he's wearing a fake butt in it, even though I think it's hilarious.
I think he is wearing a fake butt.
I don't think so. I think that wind, like from like the set in the machine, blew up
pulled his cheeks off his body a little bit.
Blew up his pants just so. I really do. I've watched this a bunch of times, and because like the butt then like collapses, like it doesn't last. The fake butt doesn't last because he like stands up and it goes away. It's not a fake butt. It's just so funny.
Didn't he have to comment on it?
Yeah, somebody asked him. And I don't know what he said. Nothing like great. I don't remember what he
I
said.
saw your fake butt in that movie, Cruise.
I think he just said it wasn't a fake butt. I only read the text of it. I didn't see the video. So I don't know if he was like trying to be like fake cool, but I'm like, yeah, no, well, it wasn't fake. And he's like really pissed. Yeah.
See, that's why I love the community.
Yeah.
The fans, they come up with the craziest thing.
But he's like,
let's move on.
His eyes are really mad.
Oh. Burning coals.
I bet he doesn't like that story. I really bet he doesn't.
I bet he does not at all.
Yeah. Oh, it's so funny.
That's all me. Those cheeks, all me. You see those buns? When you see buns,
I'm telling you,
I want you to think Cruise.
It's a gust of wind. I'm telling you.
A mighty wind.
Yeah. So, okay. So the people who come to ghost hunt there and everything, because it's like a really popular spot in that area, they're mostly really respectful. Like the people who live around there say that like stuff doesn't happen a ton. Like people go there a lot to do ghost hunting things, just to check it out. It's like a tourist destination, things like that. And it's mostly fine.
Yeah.
But there are like partying teens who go there.
Okay.
So they'll go with like tons of beer and stuff, and they'll be yelling and screaming like they're scared. And the acoustics of the bridge are such that it carries really far.
Oh, it makes it like a sonic cannon.
Yeah. So it's really annoying to the people who live in the area. And then also, they said that it like if you were going to the bridge or you were on it, you might not know that there were actually people who lived around it just because there are like trees covering houses and everything. It's not super obvious that there are like residences right there.
Yeah.
So it's a super annoying thing. And so the article that one of the things I read was basically about the fact that this place is a pain for people.
Yeah.
And that they kind of like the local legend and everything, but also like they don't really want to draw a ton of attention to it and like fan the flames.
Yeah.
So people have maybe asked them to comment on it, and some people in town or in the area have been like, I don't want to talk about it because I just don't want to like make it more popular and make more people come here.
Why don't they just uncover this bridge? What's the point of having it covered?
It's a historic thing. It's like a historic landmark.
But if it's that much of a problem,
it's
where
not
they're like,
that
we don't
much.
even want to talk about this anymore because it's so annoying.
I don't know. It's obviously not that much of a problem.
Cover off that bridge.
Well, they own it. Like there's like merch for the town and everything that has stuff about Emily's Bridge on it. And
Oh
stuff.
yeah, like you can buy like a loaf of bread with a little bridge around it.
Probably a bread bridge.
Yeah,
but it's not like the hugest deal, but it is annoying. And one of the things in the article said that teens will race through the bridge, sometimes with somebody on the hood of their car.
Oh, come
Teens
on.
are such idiots.
This bridge looks really short too.
Yeah. Well, there's street on either. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah,
you
I
drive
know.
through it.
Yeah, I know, but it's like I'm gonna get on the hood of this car for about 0.5 seconds. Hey, back to that.
Probably not. They probably just like are doing that like dummies and just drive through the bridge. Like they're not just on the hood of the car to experience the bridge that way.
It's like I'm inside, but I'm outside. Do it again, Jonathan. Hey, about that covered bread.
Yeah.
Bridge
bread.
Come get a loaf of bread in
Ew.
Vermont.
That sounds disgusting.
Come have a loaf of bread.
Bread.
Yeah.
Ugh, that doesn't sound good.
Just wanted to make sure I said that
Yeah.
A1 joke.
Yes, of course. But also, there's like really hardly any ways you can make bread not appetizing to me, and to call it bredge kind of does it.
Have a wedge of bread.
It's still bredge, though.
No?
Yeah.
Okay.
You don't really have a wedge of bread. Who has a wedge of bread?
Well, what if you had like banana bread?
Well, number one, I would never.
Yeah, I know. No. I never.
They're disgusting.
Yeah.
Oh God, there was a banana on my path on the sidewalk, and I wasn't happy about it.
Did you panic because you couldn't keep walking that way?
I was worried that Crumbs was going to pick it up, and then I was going to have to touch it.
Saying like there was a banana in front of me on my path, it's like as if there's like a big brick wall you can't get through, like as if you can't just step onto the grass and walk around it, juking, trying to figure out a way to get around this banana on the ground.
Talk about Mission Impossible. So I found something so weird and interesting during my research. So I just, I was Googling a bunch of stuff and just taking in all this stuff about Emily's Bridge that I could, basically. And there was a story on medium.com, which is a place where you can just upload things that you write.
Yeah.
Called A Haunting Experience on Emily's Bridge by Alan Barnes. So I was reading it, I read the whole thing, and it was like really well written and really cool. And then I got to the end and I was like, okay, like I want to know who wrote this, whatever. And it said Alan Barnes is part of like, I think it was like I didn't write down that part, did I? No. The ex-para investigative group. Okay. But then it said in parentheses, this is a fictional story. So I was like, what's that? So I went back up, clicked on the author's name, and it's this guy whose name is Davy Russell, and he writes medium stories kind of with this character, Alan Barnes, who has a paranormal group. Okay. And I would read the other ones. The one that I read was good and it was cool.
So it's almost like a meta
X-Files kind of thing
happening on Medium.
Yes, because they were all weird. Like there was one about the chupacabra. I don't remember what else was on there, but it was well written and good. I liked it.
That's cool.
But the reason I mentioned the whole thing and being fictional and everything was that, well, I kind of told this backwards. Within the story, it said that there was a grave in Stowe for little Emmeline, and it was positing, like, I wonder if that could be Emily of Emily's Bridge. So I read that, and I hadn't read through the whole thing. Well, I read the whole thing, but I didn't read the details and find out that it was fictional.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, I haven't seen that in any of my research so far. Let me Google that. So I Googled little Emmeline, Emily's Bridge, and only two other things came up. And one of them was this book that I guess is like, I don't know how all this stuff works, but it's like a Google ebook called Champ and a Bit of Sunshine, a cryptozoology and craft beer adventure by Mark D. Trollinger. And I guess it like is kind of it's like a whole book, but it seems like you can find it all online. Like it seemed like the whole thing was on there. And it mentioned little Emmeline's grave. And I was like, okay, but it was weird because there were so few things that mentioned it. So I kind of think that that guy, Mark Trollinger, who wrote the book, may have used the Medium piece as part of his research on his book.
Yeah.
But I'm still unclear about whether that is a true part of the story or not. Like whether there really is a grave of little Emmeline in Stowe, because there's a picture of the grave.
Okay. So
that makes it seem like it's true,
yeah.
But I'm surprised that there wasn't any other reference to it whatsoever, except for one more thing that I'll tell you that's totally sweet.
Okay.
So that makes me think that maybe either just maybe nobody made that connection before. Because it's not, it's not Emily. It's little Emmeline. Yeah. Little Emmeline sounds like a kid or something, not like a woman in her like 20s who's going to get married.
Right.
So maybe it just hadn't occurred to somebody. Or is it fictional? And both of these guys picked up on that.
Right.
And this mysterious Reddit post.
Okay.
So this rounds out the 3 instances of little Emmeline's grave being mentioned anywhere that I found on Google.
Huh. Okay.
Okay. And this is totally sweet. So this is a Reddit post called "An Old Gravestone Untouched Changed Itself in a Week." And the user deleted their name. Oh. So I can't know if because I was curious if it was Davy Russell.
Is there any connection to these two?
Is it Mark Trollinger? But I don't know.
Yeah.
I researched ghost stories. There's a ghost story where this girl, Emily, died at a covered bridge and supposedly haunts it. There's supposedly her stone in an old at an old gravestone. Whatever, I'm just going to read it as is. The stone is from 1847. No one else has been buried there since 1930, I guess in the graveyard. So the only people that maintain it is the town for mowing. Here is the weird part. I was with a friend and we went up to Emily's stone. It said 1847, Little Emmeline. Below that had Parents of Horace. Now flash forward to a week. I go back and now the same stone is in the same stone in the same place reads Little Emmeline. The year 1847 is now gone and now says 1921. Shocked, I called my friend who was with me the week prior and was convinced it also used to say 1847. What's strange is someone else told me that Emily might have died in the 1920s and not the 1800s. So that's very strange. Anyway, remember how her parents were listed on the stone? Well, now they aren't anymore. They were nowhere to be found on the stone, not even anything etched there. To make this more freaky, when I kept checking it once a week or so, the year always changes from 1847 to 1921. I'm kind of freaked out.
Huh.
And then the comments under are just like, take a picture, like, whatever.
Yeah, take pictures of both versions.
Yeah, basically. Yeah. So, like, I just thought that was cool because it kind of mirrors in the same way that the Emily story became a thing. Like, people were maybe just passing around information that maybe was like somebody's vague idea or guess, and it starts to become a real story over time. I wonder if possibly the Little Emmeline thing could become a real part of the story over time. And it just kind of like is the same way that some things get kicked up.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, it's almost like weirdly, like paradoxically, both of those stories are true. So this grave is continually vacillating between both versions of the story.
Yeah.
So sometimes it corresponds to the earlier story. Sometimes it corresponds to the later story.
Well, it doesn't even correspond to an earlier story. That's the only, when he, like, nobody has ever said she died in the 1800s. It's always been 1920s.
Oh, you're right. But I did before. So maybe it's also happening fourth dimensionally, and me even saying it before affected all this stuff in the past.
I can't handle it.
Yeah.
You know that stuff makes me wacko.
I think it's probably the case that is what happened, yeah. Well, it's also like a tulpa. The idea that the more that people believe something, it just becomes real.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Cool.
So that's the story of Emily's Bridge. Thank you very much, Michele, for bringing that into my life.
Very cool. Yeah, thank you, Michele.